Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far and a wonderful week. Happy Thursday if you are listening to this on Thursday. Today's episode is inspired by my weekend because I got to fly home this past weekend and see my family. I flew home to my hometown and I hadn't seen my sister in almost a year. So I went and I surprised her. There's been just so many exciting things happening in my life. My brother just got engaged. My sister got engaged recently. My brother built a house recently. I just haven't seen them in a really long time. So I decided to fly home and surprise my family. My dad and I decided to just make it happen. So I've been so busy with life, but I wanted to make this weekend work. I just wanted to go home and see everybody. And so I did it. So that's why today's episode is inspired by my weekend, because I didn't realize how much I needed just a weekend to relax and take a little bit of a break. I'm one of those people who has a hard time taking a break. I can't really turn off my brain very much. I have a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. I'm just busy. And so I have a hard time, just turning off my brain and taking a break. And I'm so glad that I took my weekend break because it has actually done me so much better. I feel so much more motivated and just excited to get back to work and back into my regular routine. So today is all about optimizing your breaks. And it's not just about taking a weekend break or a week break or a vacation or anything like that. I'm talking even just your breaks during your day, like your lunchtime or a coffee break or something like that, because breaks are so important and I am guilty of forgetting to take a break. And it actually, the thing is when you do take a break, you are actually so much more focused and motivated to continue doing your work, but we have to be able to keep that momentum up. So today's episode is all about being able to optimize your break by taking breaks at the right time or doing certain things on your breaks. I'm going to go through all those different things that you can do, but without losing your momentum within your workday, because sometimes we take a break and then we just get tired and we just kind of can't focus anymore. That's usually me. I have a hard time taking a break because if I do take, especially a lengthy break, I have a hard time getting back into my work. So how can we take our breaks, optimize that time, and still stay focused and motivated to continue on with our day and our workload? So today's all going to be about that, small breaks to long breaks to weekend breaks to different studies that I have to share with you. So I have lots of information today, so let's just jump right into it. So whether you're taking a 5-minute break, a 45-minute break, a weekend break, it's so important to take a break. How productive are you really after your 6 hours of studying or working, or, if you just have a busy life in general and you spend, so much of your day just busy and focused and stuff like that, and especially if you're doing this 7 days a week, you have that kind of schedule or that lifestyle where you're always constantly doing something every single day of the week, especially for long hours. If you don't take breaks and you don't optimize even your weekends and things like that, you are going to burn yourself out, and then it's just so hard to re-energize and get that momentum back going. I don't know if you've ever been on a long stretch of focusing, whether maybe while you are in school and you're studying for exams, and so you have a month of just hardcore, almost 7 days a week, study, work, and then you get that break and you get a weekend or a week off, and it's just you just kind of like burn out, and then it's so hard after that break sometimes to get back into work mode, especially when you were working so hard for like a month straight. You take a break, and then making sure that you have that momentum again can be really difficult. So first of all, it is so important to remember to take breaks, because if you don't, you're going to burn yourself out, and then you're going to not, it's way harder to get back into work mode if you've let yourself burn out. Instead, let's like avoid the burnout completely and just optimize our breaks so that we don't burn out at all. So my first tip is that remember that any break is better than no break. So you aren't productive after so many hours of studying or working, or especially if you're doing that 7 days a week, like long hours. But life is busy, and I know we all have stuff to do, but even taking a 5 to 10 minute break is better than nothing. I know it sounds like, oh, well, is that like even worth it? Like I just keep my momentum going. It is worth it. Take your 5-minute break, your 10-minute break, drink your coffee, just let yourself kind of relax for a bit. There's even this thing just called a micro break. If you are really on momentum and you're really going with your flow, take a micro break. Like, I mean, 1 or 2 minutes of just nothing. This just lets your brain and everything relax, but it will not kill your momentum. So find out kind of what works for you, but just remember that any break is better than no break. My next tip is do something completely different than your work. So if you are staring at your computer screen all day for work, then when you take your break, don't be staring at your phone. You have to do something that's completely different. But if you say you're outside and you're doing landscaping for your work and you take a break, well, then you can, maybe sit inside and go on your phone. This is because you're contrasting from like your work to like what your break is. You have to make sure there's a contrast, because for someone that like stares at their computer screen all the time and then staring at your phone for your lunch break, you're not really optimizing your break very much. You're still just kind of staring at a screen. This is not going to actually help your brain relax and your body relax and get you kind of your mind off of it. So make sure that you're doing something that is contrasting with your work. This is super, super beneficial. Get outside, get exercise, move around a little bit. If you do have the time, take your break by exercising. It doesn't have to be, a full-on workout. Sometimes it can. Like if you do have the time to go for a workout in the middle of your day, that is a huge, such a great thing to do on your break, because it's moving your blood around. Exercise re-energizes you so much, way more than you would ever think. You're like, oh, if I exercise in the middle of the day, I'll be tired. No, it's actually going to give you so much more energy, but we can't always just take that hour to go to the gym in the middle of the day. But even just it's a couple laps around the park, just go for a walk. This is really going to help you re-energize and not lose your focus. So, because think about it, if you take a break laying down, sometimes taking a break laying down is beneficial depending on your day, but oftentimes this will just lose your motivation. You'll just get tired and lazy if you lay down. But if you keep your blood going, you're moving around, that's just going to help keep you focused and the momentum keep going. So just try to get up and get moving, even if you just do some push-ups or some sit-ups or just go for a walk, get your blood going. Literally just 10 minutes of exercise is enough to boost your memory and attention performance throughout the day. 10 minutes. That's it. Go for a 10-minute walk. Walk down to the coffee shop that's a little bit further than the one that's on the corner right by your work. And just go for that walk. Grab your coffee. You're going to feel so much better. We don't often just want to change into our workout clothes or risk spending a day, being sweaty and gross. So just because you can't go to the gym or go for a long run in the middle of your day doesn't mean you can't take your break by getting some exercise. Just go for a walk, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, get your blood moving around, have a little dance party, something like that. This is just going to keep you going throughout your day and your momentum. Then my next tip is keep yourself in a working mindset by doing productive breaks. This is super beneficial for me. If I'm the type of person that if I take a break, I need to be doing something that's also productive, or else I will lose my momentum most of the time. So when I was working from home, and I would take my break, if I let myself sit on my bed or lay on my bed and just play on my phone or something like that, I would lose my momentum. Whereas if I was doing kind of productive procrastination, folding my laundry, unloading the dishwasher, making a grocery list, things like that, doing things that are still productive will just keep you in that working mindset so that you're not going to lose that momentum again. So try to do things that are still productive, but are just kind of different than your work, things that are easy. For me, I'm a list maker. I like to, on my breaks, I like to make my list that I like to do. I do like my grocery list, cleaning list, my to-do list, my school list, my work list, like whatever kind of list I need to do, I will start writing those during my break because it just relaxes my mind and it's distracting me from my work, and I'm taking a break from my work, but I'm still doing something productive. So I feel like I'm still in that working mindset. For me, this is probably my biggest, most beneficial tip for myself. So if there's anything that you should try out of this episode, I hope you try this one. Take your breaks by doing something productive. And by doing something productive too, it could be getting some exercise in the middle of your day. Like if you are the type of person that likes to have a workout once a day, then taking your break to exercise is productive. This is something that I really like doing, that I have now been able to do since working from home and remotely, and since everything with COVID and just, being at your house more than being at the office, or for me being at school. I've been able to break up my day with a workout, and I knew I like to have a workout in my day every single day almost. So this is productive. I'm getting my exercise, my blood is moving, all those good things. I'm just optimizing that break time. All right, it's time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. I have lots more tips on how you can optimize your breaks during out your day. I'm also going to be jumping into some different studies about breaks and some kind of different techniques that might work for you. As well, I will talk about optimizing your weekends and a little bit of those longer breaks and how we can make the most of them, but keep your work momentum going. So lots more information to share with you. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Jo. We are talking all about optimizing your breaks, making the most out of your 5, 10, 45, or weekend-long break, because we all need to remember to take breaks. It is so important for our health. I know life is busy and we got lots of stuff going on, but you have to remember to take those breaks when you can. You just have to. You just have to. But we need to remember to optimize them, because sometimes we don't let ourselves take the breaks because we don't want to lose that momentum, that workflow. So how can we optimize our breaks? Well, my next tip for you is set a schedule for yourself. So just like our sleep cycles, like I've talked about our sleep a lot, where try to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time relatively. This is just going to help keep your body kind of in this healthy cycle. It's the same thing when we're going to be taking our breaks. Having that consistent schedule for our mind and our bodies is super beneficial. This is going to keep your motivation going. So if you know that you get like a 30-minute break, like say at 12:30 every single day, like just continue to do that. Continue to have your lunch break at 12:30 every single day. If you're able to do that, your schedule allows you to do that. As much as you can, keep it consistent, or even like your 15-minute coffee breaks. If you're going to do it at 10:30 in the morning, you're going to have a 15-minute coffee break. Try to consistently do that every single day. This is just going to help you, and it's going to help your mind kind of keep going, and you kind of know that break, okay, 10:30 is coming up, I have a 15-minute coffee break. This is just going to keep your mind going, your motivation going, and then you know, okay, I'm back to work at 10:45, and then I get, my lunch break at 12:30, or whatever the case is. Keeping that consistent schedule is so beneficial for your mind and your body. So just remember to try to keep it consistent as much as you can. Rest when you need to rest, and when you're actually able to rest, really let yourself rest. Like I said, if you're anything like me, I can't turn my brain off. And so I've been trying to learn things to help me turn my brain off. There's things that I have to do that kind of just separate myself from my work mode to just my relaxing mode. For me, it's like going for a drive, because I was so used to, before working from home, I was so used to my long commute. I had about an hour and a half commute back home. So I was taking transit and I was driving, and that was kind of my separation from, okay, my work day is done and now I'm going home to relax. And that was my turn off, which from working from home now, I haven't been able to do that. So I actually will just jump in my car and go for a drive. This for me just separates my like work time from my rest time, and it allows me to actually rest. If I don't do something that really lets me separate those, I have a really hard time actually resting. And it's so important to actually rest on your breaks and take that time to just relax. Even if you're doing something that's like productive still, you're still kind of turning off your mind from like work mode, and you're just focusing on other things, right? You're distracting something else. With all this being said as well though, if you do have a good workflow and you don't want to interrupt your workflow at that time, don't. I'll say this over and over again that yes, breaks are so necessary, but there are also times where you have a flow going and you don't want to interrupt it. You have a good idea going. Don't interrupt it if you really don't feel like you have to. I'm not saying this should be like an everyday occurrence, but it does happen. So just break when you can break and mean it. But if you do have a flow going, don't beat yourself up for like keeping that going once in a while. Like I said, this shouldn't be an everyday occurrence, but if it does happen once in a while, let yourself do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's also nothing wrong with taking your break and really taking a break. So you have to kind of just get to know yourself and get to know your mind. For me, if I have like a creative idea going, I can't stop or else I'm going to lose it or I'm going to not focus. So I know that, okay, I got to keep going with this flow, and then I'll tell myself I got to take a break after I lose like this thought, or after I'm done writing down my thought, or whatever creative thing I'm trying to do at the time. So just remember that it is okay to break your flow and to have a break, but it's also okay to keep that flow going if you need be at that time. Now my next one is fuel your brain properly. This is super, super important. Eating properly, making sure you're getting enough nutrients, all those types of things can really help you focus and optimize your breaks. So we often take a lunch break or a coffee break or something like that, and we have to make sure that we're fueling our body properly, because once you do eat, your food is broken down into glucose, and that's fuel for your brain. So you have to be able to make sure that you're getting that glucose to help your brain focus. But it's unlike your car. It doesn't care. As long as the tank isn't totally empty, your brain will work best with a consistent level of glucose in your blood. So you have to be able to make sure that you're fueling your body properly. So the researchers have found that protein not only gives you that quick hit of glucose, but it is the only macronutrient to enhance cognitive abilities longer than 15 to 20 minutes after ingestion. So remember just to also keep your portions small, though, to reduce the risk of a snack crash. I'm also guilty of this one, that I'll kind of forget to eat in the morning, and then I'll have like a big meal in the middle of the day, and sometimes that throws me off because I'm just like, I have that crash afterwards. Oh, I ate and now I'm just like tired, and I like lose your motivation. So try to be able to, like, when you take like your breaks for like your snacks or your lunches or whatever that is, make sure they're high in protein so you get that glucose kick, because that's what you need to be able to focus. But try not to eat huge meals or really heavy meals, because that will just make you feel tired. Like having like a massive bowl of pasta in the middle of the day, it's great, but often, more times than not, it's going to make you kind of fall asleep after, make you a little bit more tired. So try to just have that protein, a quick little snack or something like that, because it's just going to help you focus, and it's going to avoid that post-snack crash. Now I want to share with you a couple studies that some research teams have done that are pretty interesting about breaks. So they analyzed 5.5 million daily records of how office workers are using their computers based on kind of what the user self-identified as like productive work, so on their computers. And they found that the top 10% of productive workers all worked an average of 52 minutes before taking a 17-minute break. So these numbers are very specific. So 52 minutes of working and then taking a 17-minute break. So why exactly does this work? Well, the researchers are saying that by knowing that you have a break coming up, you're more likely to stay focused and work with purpose. There's also some things where like you feel like you're working, right? But you're not actually working with purpose. You're not kind of putting all of your 100% effort into it. You're just kind of sitting back and, you're typing a little bit, but you're not really focused. So working for 52 minutes, knowing that you having that break coming up is going to help you work with a purpose. Working for any longer can also cause cognitive boredom. So they're saying that 52 minutes is just like that magic number. Your body wasn't meant to sit for 8 hours a day. So if you're that type of person that can just sit down their computer and just sit there for 8 hours, yeah, your body's not supposed to do that. So make sure you have 52 minutes. You know that break's coming up. So you're going to be breaking up your 8-hour day into basically 52 minutes every single time. So your body is actually really responds well when you take regular intervals throughout your day, taking those breaks to improve your health and your mental focus. So 52 minutes and then a 17-minute break. Those are the magic numbers. Pretty much just because we're not supposed to sit for 8 hours a day. Working for any longer, your brain can just get bored so that you stop working with purpose and you're kind of maybe just typing away, but you're not really focused. So try this study, 52 minutes and then a 17-minute break. It doesn't always have to be a 17-minute break. Like if you want to work 52 minutes and have a longer break or a shorter break, find out what works for you. But that 52 minutes is the magic number. Now, I have one more study to share with you, so that hopefully maybe one of these studies you might want to try because they are tested to work. But it is time for another break. So when we get back, I will tell you that another study. I'm also going to be going through an exercise that you can do for your eyes because our eyes take the hit from staring at our computer screens all day or our phones while we're working. So I have a little exercise for your eyes. I have a study to share with you. And then I'm going to jump into how to optimize your weekend breaks. So lots more information coming in the last stretch of today's episode. So stay tuned. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching.
Hey!
The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. All right, we're on the last stretch of today's episode, and I have so much information, so I'm going to jump right back into it. So the next study I want to share with you is a study from the University of Illinois, psychology. It's from a professor, and he compared how brains naturally stop registering sights, sounds, and feelings if they remain consistent for a period of time with how they react to the thoughts that remain consistent for long periods of time. So you say, if sustained attention to a sensation makes that sensation vanish from our awareness, sustained attention to a thought should also lead to that thought's disappearance from our mind. So instead of thinking about the problem without stop, we need to create distractions that take our attention away from the task at hand so we can come back at it with a fresh mind. So one way to do this is to overload your cognitive abilities by multitasking on your break. So it might seem kind of counterintuitive to add more cognitive strain during a break, but the key here is to force your mind off of that work at hand. So it's not just about taking a break and just relaxing. It's also just making sure that you're distracting yourself from the work that you're doing. That's why I talked about the contrasting, right? So do something that is completely separate from your work, because then you're taking off your mind completely from that situation, right? So this is just another study basically saying do something that's opposite from your work so that you are distracting yourself and giving your brain a chance to not think about that. You can think about something else, and then you can come back into it with a fresh set. Fresh set of eyes, fresh set of mind. Everything's just kind of fresh. Get back into it and you'll be way more productive. Now I want to share with you a little exercise for your eyes. So our eyes take the hit from staring at computer screens or our phones all day long, especially these days. Everything is so technical and online, and so most of us are staring at computer screens. So our eyes just take the hit from everything. So this is a little exercise that you can do to help reduce your eye fatigue. So it's called the 20-20-20. So every 20 minutes, look away from your computer and focus on an item that's at least 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. Very simple. 20-20-20. So 20 minutes, look at an object 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. And this is just going to help reduce your eye fatigue. I also highly suggest wearing blue light glasses if you are staring at your computer screen all day long, especially at nighttime, because we all know staring at computer screens at nighttime will definitely disrupt our sleeping patterns. So wear blue light glasses, but try the 20-20-20. This actually works, makes your eyes feel better. I feel way less tired when I'm able to do it and actually pay attention when I remember to do the 20-20-20, but it's super beneficial. So try to exercise your eyes, because our eyes just take the hit all day long. Whether we're even just staring at a computer screen or we're focusing on different things at work, we have to make sure that we're exercising and trying to help our eyes throughout the day. So now I'm going to talk about our weekend breaks, and this is kind of what inspired today's episode. Like I said, I was able to go home and take a weekend break. I did a little bit of work at home, but I was still able just to spend time with my family and just hang out and kind of take a weekend to kind of just re-energize and refocus. So when we're in the peak of our career, or you're just busy in life with school or whatever the case may be, it actually is so important to remember to take those weekend breaks when you can. Of course, even when it's not every weekend. Like I said, some of us are working 7 days a week. We're focused on things, and that is okay, but we have to remember that when we can take a weekend break, take advantage of it, and let's try to optimize that weekend to our full potential. Even if you get every single weekend off, optimizing your weekends to make them the most beneficial to set up your productive week ahead is just super important. So just make the most out of it and stay focused throughout your weekend, so that when Monday hits, you can just kind of re-energize, you're ready to go. So my first tip for you is spending time with people that do re-energize you. So if you are just able to take your weekend off, lift your spirits and that just motivate you. Surround yourself with the people that are motivated and that are going to lift you up. The friends that want to go out and do things, go outside and do activities, or go for a hike. Just staying focused on healthy habits instead of the friends that are staying up till 4 a.m. maybe playing video games and drinking beers. If you want to stay focused and optimize your weekend socializing time, then make sure that you're just surrounding yourself with the right people that are also trying to do that, right? There's a difference between kind of just hanging out at home, laying in bed all weekend, and even if you're hanging out with friends, then going out, socializing with friends, but making the most of your time. So by getting exercise or just implementing healthy habits throughout your weekend by spending time with those people. Also, just spending time with people that you care about, your friends, your family, that is also just really re-energizing for a lot of people, right? Because for me, I hadn't seen my family in a really long time, so I think that's a huge reason why it was so re-energizing. I just got to reconnect, hang out, have some good laughs, have a good time, and it was just super beneficial to have that time to connect with my family again and just re-energize myself. My next tip is go outside on your weekends, spend some time outdoors, especially if you are working in an office all week long. You don't get to spend much time outside. It's going to re-energize you by being in a different environment. So go outside, spend time outdoors whenever you can, especially when the weather is nice. Sitting inside all week is draining, and we don't often get times to spend that time outside. So if you can spend your weekends outside for the majority of it, this is just going to lift your spirits. It's going to keep motivating you. It's implementing healthy habits into your life, and it's going to help you just kind of be okay almost with being inside at your office all week long for majority of your day. For me, it's like you try to make the most of going outside on the weekends because I don't get to spend a lot of time outside during the week. So just trying to focus on, putting yourself in an environment that's still going to motivate you, that's a little bit different from your work life, right? My next tip is scheduling some you time. This is super important, especially if your work includes, being around a lot of people all the time or talking to a lot of people, especially if you work in like customer service. It's a lot of small talk, it's a lot of smooching, it's like you're talking all day long. And it's really important just to set aside some you time where you don't have to talk to anybody. You can just do whatever you want, some self-care, whether you just want to whether you want to go outside and write your journal or take a bubble bath or just hang out by yourself. Set aside some you time, especially when you're constantly talking to people throughout your day, throughout your work day. You time is so important. So set aside some time, schedule your weekend so that you do have some you time. And then you can combine this, right? Your you time could be going for a run outside. That's like what I usually like to do. I like to spend my time on the weekends. I'll go for a run outside, a longer run, or a nice long walk by myself. Don't bring my phone, just kind of disconnect from the world and just go spend some time alone, getting some exercise, just kind of enjoying the sun. Which kind of leads to my next tip, is just kind of disconnecting from technology on the weekends if you can. This is difficult to do these days. We can't always just disconnect from technology. But if you are able to just have sections of your weekend where you're nowhere near your computer, you're nowhere near your phone, you just get to enjoy the nature or enjoy your friends and family or just your you time. This is super, super beneficial, just disconnecting from that crazy technical world that we're living in right now, this virtual world, especially if your job consists of a lot of internet and social media or just a lot of computer and phone things. Disconnecting from that is going to just help you kind of re-energize for your week so that being on your computer or being on your phone all week long isn't as difficult. You get that break on the weekends where you can just disconnect from it. My next one is get all your errands done and set yourself up for a productive week. This is huge. If you are really busy and you really need to make sure that you are productive all week long, setting yourself up on Saturday, Sunday so that when Monday hits, you are just ready to focus on what you need to focus on. This is so beneficial. Do all your errands, do your cleaning, go get groceries, do your meal prepping, have everything ready by Sunday night so that when Monday hits, all you need to focus on is your work at hand, the task that you need to do. This is just optimizing your weekend by being productive, setting yourself for a productive week. Because for me, there's nothing worse than hitting Monday. It's I haven't meal prepped or I haven't organized. And then when I'm working during the day, I'm I got to go home and I got to do this, and this. Try to do all your home stuff on the weekend, all your errands, all the extra things as much as you can so that when Monday hits, all you have to do is focus on your work. That's just optimizing your break insanely. This is one of my biggest tips as well. Organize yourself on the weekends. Take your time to relax and hang out, but also take that Sunday to organize your life a little bit. Now my next tip is let yourself work if you want to work on the weekend. If you wake up Saturday morning and you feel like getting some work done for a couple hours, let yourself. But with that being said, don't feel bad if you don't feel like working at all. Your weekend can and should be your break, so let it be your break if you're in that mindset. But if you feel like working for 2 hours, let yourself work for 2 hours. If all of a sudden you have a creative idea that you want to do, let yourself do that creative idea and go through it. It all depends on you, and you just got to get to know yourself and what's going to work best for you. Just trying to optimize your breaks, whether they're 5, 45 minutes, a weekend-long break, is super important so that you stay motivated and focused to do your work throughout the week. All right, well, that is all the information that I have for you today. I hope this was beneficial. I hope it motivated you to optimize your breaks and to take more breaks because it is super important and healthy to remember to let your body and your brain rest even throughout the day. Whether, like I said, whether it's 5 or 45 minutes or you get to optimize your whole weekend, whatever you get to do, take your time to rest when you get that rest time. It is going to just set you up for a more productive work week. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you're notified every single time there's a new episode, every Monday and Thursday. As well, follow and like us on social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I update those regularly, so go say hi to me on one of those. And please do not forget to leave a 5-star review. It helps out a ton, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Stay happy, stay healthy, and remember to take your breaks. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from social media news to marketing news, and even weird news, the GSMC Podcast Network has you covered. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast.